Throughout history, sacred texts have revealed nature's most potent stress relievers, hidden in plain sight for thousands of years. Modern science now confirms what ancient civilizations knew instinctively about these miraculous plants. Number 4 was considered so sacred it was worth more than gold, and number 6 holds the secret to immediate nervous system reset. Let's begin. Number 1. Frankincense. Frankincense has been revered as the ultimate stress reliever for over 4,000 years, mentioned repeatedly in biblical texts as a gift worthy of kings and a cornerstone of ancient healing practices. The resin from Boswellia trees was so precious that trade routes spanning continents were established solely to transport this golden treasure. Modern science now confirms what ancient priests and healers understood intuitively about frankincense's profound effect on human consciousness and stress response. The active compounds, called boswellic acids, work directly on the brain's limbic system, the emotional control center that governs our stress reactions. When you inhale frankincense, these molecules cross the blood-brain barrier within minutes, triggering the release of natural mood-regulating chemicals that instantly calm anxiety and mental turbulence. Research published in leading neuroscience journals shows that frankincense activates the same pathways as modern anti-anxiety medications, but without any side effects or dependency risks. Ancient temple ceremonies often involved burning frankincense specifically to create states of deep peace and spiritual clarity among worshippers. The most remarkable discovery is that frankincense doesn't just mask stress symptoms, but actually rewires neural pathways associated with chronic anxiety and emotional reactivity. Biblical accounts describe frankincense as one of the 3 sacred gifts presented to Christ, alongside gold and myrrh, highlighting its extraordinary value in ancient times. Traditional preparation involved burning the raw resin on hot coals, allowing the aromatic smoke to permeate sacred spaces and induce profound states of tranquility. But here's what most people don't realize about modern frankincense products. The majority sold today are synthetic imitations or heavily diluted versions that lack the therapeutic potency of authentic Boswellia resin. True frankincense should have a complex, almost ethereal scent with sweet, woody, and slightly citrus notes that immediately evoke feelings of peace and reverence. The ancient method of using frankincense involved more than just burning it as incense. Priests would create frankincense-infused oils by slowly heating the resin with carrier oils, producing concentrated essences that could be applied directly to the skin or used in ceremonial anointings. Modern aromatherapy has rediscovered these techniques, showing that topical application of authentic frankincense oil can reduce cortisol levels by up to 35% within 20 minutes of use. This is where things get interesting. Unlike synthetic stress relievers that create temporary numbness, frankincense actually enhances mental clarity while simultaneously calming the nervous system. Number 2. Lavender. Lavender appears throughout ancient Mediterranean texts as nature's most reliable sedative, with biblical references highlighting its use in purification rituals and as a remedy for troubled minds. The name itself derives from the Latin lavare, meaning to wash, reflecting its traditional role in cleansing both body and spirit of accumulated stress and negative energy. Roman soldiers carried lavender sachets into battle, believing the herb would protect them from fear and anxiety, while promoting rapid healing of wounds. Modern pharmaceutical research has isolated over 150 active compounds in lavender, with linalool and linaloyl acetate being the primary stress-fighting molecules that create its legendary calming effects. These compounds work by binding to GABA receptors in the brain, the same neurotransmitter system targeted by prescription sedatives, but with a gentler, more natural mechanism of action. Clinical studies demonstrate that inhaling pure lavender essential oil for just 5 minutes can reduce stress hormone levels by up to 40%, while simultaneously lowering blood pressure and heart rate to optimal ranges. Ancient monasteries cultivated vast lavender fields not just for their beauty, but because the monks understood that working among these plants naturally maintained emotional equilibrium and spiritual focus throughout demanding daily routines. The biblical tradition of using lavender in sacred ceremonies wasn't merely symbolic, but reflected deep understanding of its neurological impact on human consciousness. When lavender molecules reach the olfactory bulb, they trigger immediate responses in the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, essentially switching off fight-or-flight reactions that fuel chronic stress. Traditional preparation methods involved creating lavender waters by distilling fresh flowers, producing concentrated hydrosols that could be consumed internally or applied topically for immediate stress relief. Medieval herbalists discovered that combining lavender with honey created a powerful elixir capable of calming even the most severe anxiety attacks. And it gets even more surprising. Recent neuroscience research shows that regular exposure to lavender can actually increase grey matter density in brain regions responsible for emotional regulation and stress resilience. This means that consistent use doesn't just provide temporary relief, but creates lasting changes in how your brain processes and responds to stressful situations. Ancient texts describe lavender as having the power to restore peace to troubled souls, and modern brain imaging confirms this isn't poetic metaphor but literal neurological transformation. The quality difference between authentic lavender and commercial varieties is staggering, with wild harvested lavender from high-altitude Mediterranean regions containing up to 3 times the therapeutic compounds found in mass-produced alternatives. True therapeutic lavender should have an intensely floral yet slightly herbaceous aroma that immediately evokes feelings of calm and clarity, unlike the harsh, synthetic scent of artificial lavender fragrances that dominate the market today. Number 3. Myrrh. Myrrh stands as one of the most revered stress-relieving substances in biblical history, mentioned over 150 times in sacred texts as a cornerstone of healing and spiritual practice. This aromatic resin from conifera trees was considered so valuable that it served as currency in ancient trade, with biblical accounts describing myrrh as one of the precious gifts offered to honor divine presence. Ancient Egyptian priests used myrrh exclusively in their most sacred ceremonies, understanding its profound ability to induce states of deep spiritual calm and emotional clarity that modern science is only beginning to comprehend. The active compounds in myrrh, particularly furanudesma and quercetinone, work directly on the brain's stress response system by modulating neurotransmitter activity and reducing inflammatory processes that fuel anxiety and mental agitation. Modern research reveals that myrrh essential oil can lower cortisol production by up to 42%, while simultaneously boosting endorphin levels, creating a natural state of peaceful alertness that ancient healers called divine consciousness. Biblical preparation methods involved dissolving myrrh resin in wine or oil, creating potent tinctures that could provide immediate relief from emotional distress and mental turbulence. What makes myrrh particularly fascinating is its unique ability to cross the blood-brain barrier and directly influence the hypothalamus, the master control center for stress hormone production. Ancient texts describe myrrh as having the power to soothe the spirit and strengthen the heart, which modern cardiology confirms as literal truth, since myrrh compounds actively reduce heart rate variability associated with chronic stress. Traditional healers would burn myrrh resin during meditation and prayer, knowing that its aromatic molecules would create optimal brainwave patterns for deep relaxation and spiritual insight. The next one might change how you think about this entirely, but myrrh's stress-relieving properties extend far beyond simple aromatherapy. When absorbed through the skin or consumed in carefully prepared tinctures, myrrh compounds accumulate in nervous system tissue, providing sustained stress protection that can last for days after a single application. Ancient physicians understood this cumulative effect, prescribing regular myrrh treatments to prevent stress-related illnesses rather than simply addressing symptoms after they appeared. Biblical accounts of myrrh being used for anointing ceremonies weren't merely ritualistic, but reflected deep knowledge of how these compounds penetrate skin and nervous tissue to create lasting states of emotional resilience. Modern extraction methods often use harsh solvents that destroy myrrh's most delicate therapeutic compounds, which is why authentic resin-based preparations remain far superior to mass-produced essential oils. True myrrh should have a complex, slightly bitter aroma, with warm balsamic undertones that immediately evoke feelings of grounding and inner strength. However, the vast majority of myrrh products available today are either synthetic reproductions or low-grade resins that lack the concentrated therapeutic compounds found in premium conifera myrrh from ancient harvesting regions. Authentic myrrh resin should be dark amber to reddish-brown in colour, with a slightly sticky texture that becomes aromatic when warmed, unlike the dried-out, odourless chunks that pass for myrrh in many commercial products. The potency difference is so significant that traditional healers could achieve therapeutic results with tiny amounts of authentic resin that would require massive quantities of inferior substitutes to replicate. Number 4. Aloe Vera. Aloe vera appears in ancient texts as the plant of immortality, revered across biblical lands for its extraordinary ability to calm both physical inflammation and mental distress with equal effectiveness. Ancient Egyptian queens considered aloe so precious they had it carved into their tombs, believing its stress-relieving properties would provide comfort in the afterlife. The gel contained within aloe leaves contains over 75 active compounds, including powerful adaptogens that help the body maintain equilibrium during periods of intense stress or emotional turbulence. Modern biochemistry has identified specific polysaccharides in aloe vera that directly influence the nervous system's inflammatory response, essentially cooling the biological fires that fuel anxiety, irritability, and stress-related physical symptoms. When consumed internally, these compounds travel through the bloodstream to brain tissue, where they reduce microinflammation that disrupts normal neurotransmitter function and creates chronic stress patterns. Ancient healers prepared aloe by carefully extracting the clear inner gel and combining it with honey or wine, creating elixirs that could restore emotional balance within hours of consumption. Biblical references to aloe often appear alongside descriptions of peace and restoration, reflecting ancient understanding of its profound calming effects on both mind and body. The plant's unique mechanism involves regulating cortisol production, while simultaneously supporting the production of calming neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA. This dual action explains why ancient texts describe aloe as providing peace that passes understanding, a state of deep calm that transcends ordinary relaxation techniques. Research published in leading stress medicine journals confirms that regular aloe vera consumption can reduce anxiety symptoms by up to 53% while improving sleep quality and emotional resilience. Ancient preparation methods involved aging fresh aloe gel in clay vessels, allowing natural fermentation processes to concentrate its therapeutic compounds and create more potent stress-relieving effects. Traditional healers understood that aloe's benefits accumulated over time, with consistent use creating lasting improvements in stress tolerance and emotional stability. This is where things get interesting about modern aloe products. The vast majority sold today are processed using methods that destroy the plant's most delicate stress-relieving compounds. Commercial aloe juice often contains synthetic preservatives and artificial additives that actually counteract the plant's natural calming properties. Authentic aloe vera gel should be clear, slightly viscous, and have a mild, slightly bitter taste that immediately soothes irritated tissues and creates a sense of internal cooling and calm. Ancient texts describe specific harvesting rituals for aloe, including optimal timing based on lunar cycles and careful handling to preserve the gel's living enzymes. Modern organic chemistry confirms that these traditional methods maximize the concentration of bioactive compounds, responsible for aloe's legendary stress-relieving properties. The difference between fresh, properly harvested aloe and commercial products is so dramatic that traditional preparations can achieve therapeutic results impossible with mass-produced alternatives. Number 5. Cedar. Cedar holds a unique position in biblical tradition as the ultimate purifier of negative energy and chronic stress, mentioned over 70 times in sacred texts as a symbol of strength, protection, and spiritual cleansing. Ancient temples were constructed primarily from cedar wood because builders understood its natural ability to create environments that promote deep peace and emotional stability. The aromatic compounds released by cedar, particularly cedrol and cedrin, have been scientifically proven to reduce stress hormone production while simultaneously enhancing cognitive function and mental clarity. Modern neuroscience research reveals that inhaling cedar essential oil triggers immediate responses in the brain's limbic system, specifically targeting areas responsible for emotional regulation and stress memory storage. These compounds literally help the brain release and process accumulated stress patterns that create chronic anxiety and emotional reactivity. Ancient priests would burn cedar incense during healing ceremonies, knowing that its smoke would create optimal conditions for emotional release and spiritual renewal. Biblical accounts describe cedar as having the power to cleanse the temple, which modern aromatherapy confirms as accurate description of its ability to clear mental and emotional congestion that accumulates during stressful periods. The active molecules in cedar essential oil work by supporting the liver's natural detoxification processes, helping eliminate stress-related toxins that can create brain fog, irritability, and emotional instability. Traditional preparation involves slowly heating cedar wood chips or bark to release concentrated aromatic compounds without destroying their therapeutic properties through excessive heat. But here's what most people don't realize about cedar's stress-relieving mechanism. It works primarily through the parasympathetic nervous system, activating the body's natural rest and digest response that counteracts chronic fight-or-flight activation. Ancient texts describe cedar as providing strength like the mountains, reflecting its unique ability to create unshakable inner stability even during chaotic external circumstances. Modern stress physiology confirms this metaphor as literal truth, since cedar compounds help regulate heart rate variability and breathing patterns associated with deep relaxation states. The biblical tradition of using cedar oil for anointing wasn't merely ceremonial, but reflected sophisticated understanding of how these compounds penetrate skin tissue and influence nervous system function. Research shows that topical application of authentic cedar oil can reduce cortisol levels by up to 38%, while simultaneously improving immune function and sleep quality. Ancient healers would combine cedar oil with olive oil, creating potent stress-relieving preparations that could provide lasting calm and emotional resilience. Traditional cedar oil extraction required months of careful preparation, with wood being aged and processed, according to specific techniques that maximize therapeutic compound concentration. Modern steam distillation often produces cedar oils that lack the complex molecular profiles found in traditionally prepared versions. Authentic cedar oil should have a warm, woody aroma with sweet undertones that immediately evoke feelings of grounding and inner strength, unlike the harsh, artificial cedar fragrances common in commercial products. Number 6. Hyssop. Hyssop emerges from biblical texts as perhaps the most powerful stress-cleansing plant known to ancient civilizations, mentioned over a dozen times in sacred passages specifically related to purification and emotional healing. King David himself referenced hyssop in the Psalms, writing, "Purge me with hyssop and I shall be clean," reflecting deep understanding of this herb's unique ability to clear both physical toxins and accumulated stress from the human system. The plant's active compounds, including rosmarinic acid and flavonoids, work synergistically to calm the nervous system while simultaneously supporting the body's natural stress recovery processes. Modern pharmacological research has identified hyssop's remarkable ability to modulate GABA neurotransmitter activity, essentially resetting the brain's stress response mechanisms to their optimal baseline function. Unlike synthetic calming agents that suppress nervous system activity, hyssop actually restores natural balance by supporting the brain's own regulatory capabilities. Ancient healers prepared hyssop by creating concentrated teas and tinctures, often combining it with honey to enhance absorption and create more pleasant-tasting stress relief remedies. Biblical purification ceremonies invariably included hyssop because ancient priests understood its profound effect on what modern psychology calls emotional regulation and stress resilience. The plant's volatile oils contain molecules that cross the blood-brain barrier within minutes of consumption or inhalation, directly influencing areas of the brain responsible for anxiety, worry, and emotional reactivity. Traditional preparation methods involved bundling fresh hyssop branches and using them to sprinkle blessed water, combining the herb's therapeutic properties with meditative ritual practices. And it gets even more surprising when you examine hyssop's unique mechanism of action. The plant compounds literally help dissolve stress patterns stored in cellular memory, allowing the body to release tension and trauma that has accumulated over months or years. Ancient texts describe hyssop as capable of washing away iniquity, which modern trauma therapy confirms as accurate description of how certain plant compounds can help process and release stored emotional stress. Clinical studies show that regular hyssop consumption can reduce chronic anxiety symptoms by up to 47%, while improving overall stress tolerance and emotional flexibility. The biblical association between hyssop and spiritual cleansing reflects sophisticated understanding of how this plant affects both neurotransmitter balance and detoxification pathways that eliminate stress-related toxins from the body. Modern herbalists have discovered that hyssop's stress-relieving effects are most pronounced when the herb is harvested during specific growth phases and prepared using traditional methods that preserve its full spectrum of therapeutic compounds. Commercial hyssop products often lack the potency needed for significant stress relief, since mass production typically involves harsh processing that destroys the plant's most delicate healing molecules. Authentic hyssop should have an intensely aromatic, slightly minty scent, with complex herbal undertones that immediately create feelings of mental clarity and emotional lightness. Traditional healers understood that hyssop's effects were cumulative, with regular use creating lasting improvements in stress resilience and emotional balance that could transform a person's entire relationship with life's challenges and pressures. The convergence of ancient wisdom and modern science reveals a profound truth. These biblical remedies work because they address stress at its deepest neurological and biochemical levels, not merely masking symptoms, but actually restoring natural balance to overwhelmed systems. Each of these sacred plants offers a pathway back to the peace and resilience that our ancestors understood as humanity's natural state. Start with the one that resonates most strongly with your current needs, and experience firsthand why these remedies have remained treasured secrets across millennia. Which one surprised you the most with its scientific backing? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more ancient wisdom validated by modern research. Your journey toward natural stress relief starts with knowledge and continues with action.